going to start with Stephen, since his memory of it will be the shortest.
That's true. So I would, when they pictured one of the pictures that was posted, I think by Debbie, showed Donna standing by our house in Murtaugh. I hadn't seen that house in a long time. That really brought some great memories back. But what I thought I would just talk about briefly was, I mean, Donna was almost out of the house by the time I was old enough to know her. So, but when I was, when I graduated from high school, one of my graduation presents was for us to go back to the Indianapolis 500. And when David was at Purdue at that time, and Donna went with us. And I don't know exactly what the family situation was at the time that she was able to do that.
I was in Denver working, and she had the diesel.
She had the Mercedes with the phone in it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That was a prosperous year.
With phone. Yeah. Anyway, we went on that trip together, and I probably hadn't known my sister that well before that time, and we got to spend quite a bit of time together, and I just loved it. I adored her, and I thought that she was just great to be around, and that trip just has great memories for me, mostly because I was with Mom and Dad, and that was just before I left home for school. But we went, we drove, if I remember right, she drove out there with my dad, and my mom and I flew out there. I may have that reversed, but we met out there in Chicago.
Right.
Yeah.
You had to stay for something.
For graduation, yeah.
Stephen, was there a time that Aunt Donna had a layover in Texas and she went to the temple and you two ran into each other in the Houston temple?
Dallas.
In Dallas?
It happened in
It's
Dallas.
in Dallas,
And she
yeah.
said,
Okay.
go to the doctor.
She just happened to like go and you were there too and
Yeah, because we were up on a temple trip up to Dallas anyway, so. Yeah. So I'd forgotten about that. I mean, I had but yeah, I remember that happening. So that's, but anyway, I adored my sister. And,
Well, let me add to the story. While they were in Indianapolis, I was telling Donna that I needed some new slacks. And she said, let's go get some material. They got there a couple of days early before the Indianapolis. My dad had always wanted to go to the Indianapolis 500. He'd listen to it on the radio when I was a kid growing up, and he'd love to hear that. Well, we had been in Albuquerque, and we knew the Unsers, and they were going to be in the race, and I was at Purdue. So I called to see what, you have to buy those tickets a year in advance. So I did, and told my dad, you got tickets to the Indianapolis 500 next year. And so he came, brought Stephen, and Donna, and Grandma. And Donna sat down at our sewing machine and made me 2 pairs of slacks while she was there.
Sounds like Donna.
That's
And they were red.
Oh, stylish. Bright pants in her day.
Well, that was 72 when she made a red suit for me.
Whoa.
Santa Claus.
After that race, the race they have 300,000 people there. I've never seen anything quite like it. So you just sat there, we just sat there, the people rent out their houses for parking lots and so on, just parking people's yards. We sat there for 3 hours, watched the traffic go by, and talked and visited, and then finally went back to Lafayette, or is it
Lafayette, West Lafayette.
West Lafayette, yeah, so anyway. That's what came to mind when I thought about Donna, is that spending that time with her. It's awesome.
Well, my memories of Donna are varied and sundry, but the first memory that I thought about that I can have a distinct memory of is we were in Payette, so that means that I was younger than 7, because that's when we moved from Payette. But in those days, you had junior Sunday school and senior Sunday school, and because primary was during the week. And Donna was the chorister for junior Sunday school. And I didn't deal well with not having my mother around. And I remember that Donna put me right in the front so that I could be close to my sister when she was leading the music. Wow. But that was the first, that's a very strong, vivid memory. Donna was 11 years older than me. And so, so obviously I was 7, she had to have been about 18 years old. But that was her job. She was leading the music in junior Sunday school. But she was really babysitting me. Because I didn't deal with being there without my mother very well. And so that's the first really strong memory. The next vivid memory was when you were in the Air Force and you came to Murtaugh and you had your Carmen Gia.
Oh, yeah.
And you said, do you want to go for a ride? So I was in junior high school and Donna was at the house, and you and I went for a ride, and we went around the corner in Kimberly, and we spun out and did about 4 360s.
Engine in the rear. Not on purpose, by the way.
Yeah.
And I swore him to secrecy.
And so he said, I would really appreciate it if you didn't tell anybody. And he said, especially your sister. So the car was fine, we were fine. It had a very low center of gravity.
Yeah.
I still wish to this day I had that Carmen Gia.
That was a nice
It was
little
a
car.
fun little car.
I
But-
sold it to my dad later.
Did you?
Yeah, he drove it for a lot of years.
But I can still remember, and he said, don't tell anybody about this, but especially your sister.
Now that she's gone, you can tell the story.
She's listening.
She's listening. She's here, people. Oh, that's funny.
So, but my memories of Donna are first how much she loved family.
Yes.
No matter who it was, family was critically important to her. And she always exuded that. She loved her own children, obviously. She loved her brothers, all of us. We heard all of the horror stories of the way she and Odell got along. See, Donna and Stephen are a little bit like me and Odell, because by the time my memory was remembering kids, Odell was out of the home. And so all I heard were stories about Odell, especially the story of the fork in his arm. Yeah, she threw at him and he would,
It's stuck in his arm and he's going like this. I'm going to tell Mom.
She finally fought back.
and the story that when Odell outran a highway patrolman.
Whoa!
And the highway patrolman came to our house, and my dad said, well, let's wait a minute until he gets home from school. So I
never
those
heard
are all
that one.
stories of my youth in Murtaugh, but with Donna, the thing I remember the most was about family. When Daryl got sick, I remember how much my mother tried to keep in touch with Donna with all of the hours and days that she spent down at the City of Hope. And I remember what my mother was going through because of what Donna was going through. My mother had an aunt whose name was Aunt Annie. And she always made fun of Aunt Annie because she cried for the last 20 years of her life. And when my mother started to act like that, we got at my mother a lot saying, Mother, don't you end up like Aunt Annie. And she would whack us, because she felt so bad about what Donna was going through because of Daryl's sickness.
Yeah.
And I just remember, because it really was hard on Grandma to see Donna hurting. So anyway, Donna was a real stalwart, and she was, wow. I just remember the pride that my mom and dad had when she got into nursing school. I just thought of a story y'all ought to hear, because it just tells a little bit about our dad. When Donna was in, I think she'd already been accepted to nursing school, but anyway, she was good on the organ and she wanted an organ. And Mother and Donna went to Twin Falls and they found an organ. And when they finally came home to tell my dad about it, he said, well, I want to go. And so Mother and Donna and Mom and Dad and Donna went, and they didn't come home with an organ because of a $25 difference in price. And
Grandpa would never pay full price for anything, so they got close.
they got within $25, and Donna didn't get her organ. And,
He felt bad about that for a long
but
time.
my dad probably should have paid it because he regretted the chewing out he got from my mother. But I still remember the disappointment that Donna felt because she didn't get that organ.
She got it later, like 40 years
Did
later.
she? Yes, she
Yeah, the
did.
one.
I remember Donna's 1954 blue Chevrolet
Yes.
that she drove to BYU in. And I thought that was really cool to see my sister drive to college in her own 1954 Chevrolet blue car.
I'll tell you a story
What is it
related
with
to
men
that.
and remembering the car?
I know.
What's that?
Funny thing.
I got into flight training and I got accepted by the Air Force the same day I got my draft notice, so I ignored the draft notice and got sworn in at Boise, and then they put me on an airplane and flew me to Salt Lake. In those days, the prop airplanes didn't fly at night, so it overnighted in Salt Lake, and I called my uncle to pick me up. And it was early in the evening, 6 in the evening, and I said, I need a date, and so I called the nursing, it was actually a dormitory behind LDS Hospital for nurses, because part of their last year of training, they were actual nurses.
Residents.
Yeah. And so I called the nursing facility and I said, is Donna Larson there? And obviously it must have been a phone in the middle of a hall because I heard, Donna, it's a man. So she came breathless to the phone and I said, this is Dan Davidson, remember me? She wrote me letters all during my mission, but I hadn't communicated since. Because I got home and she scared me because she was so pretty and I didn't have a dime, I didn't have any of the church, I wasn't ready for a date or anything, but now I am because I don't have any money and she might. And I asked if she'd like a date and she says, oh yeah. I says, you got a car? She says, yeah. I says, you got any money? I told her how to come out and get me at 39th South Facility where my uncle lived and she drove out there in that little car. And on the way out there, the car overheated. And the guy at the service station poured cold water in it and cracked the head. And so she drove over to me, but we had to stop every now and then and add water and stuff. And we drove back to Temple Square because there was a musical concert going on in the Tabernacle, which is free. So we went and watched that. That was our first day.
That is a great.
I've never heard that.
So before I turn over to David, I want to read something. Christy is our youngest daughter. And when Christy was doing her training, Donna was an administrator down in Arizona, and she got to do.
Christy had to spend a week with a nurse.
She had to spend a week with a nurse, and because Donna was a nurse, even though she was administrator, she went down. So this is what Christy just sent us on the phone tonight. If I was there tonight and it came up, I would say that I remember when I asked Donna why she thought she had been so successful as a nurse during my week working with her in Arizona. She told me she felt like it was because she had worked at the bedside of patients, had been a patient herself, and she had also been a mother to a dying patient. She felt like she could do her job well because she knew those three different angles and took them all into consideration when making decisions. I also remember she knew the floor nurses' names, which I found incredible given the number of nurses she seemed to know when we did our morning rounds together.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Can you
Oh, that's
share
from
that
Christy.
with us? Can you forward that to someone or share it? And put it on your Facebook page, Papa. Yeah. Then they can all get it.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll put it on my
That's
Facebook page.
awesome.
I
Thank
remember her going in for the overnight shifts as an administrator and taking pizza and doing things in the middle of the night for those nurses so that they knew the
You're here.
administrators cared about them.
That's amazing.
And I love that.
Los Angeles, she brought the nurses to her home and had like a get together. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay, David, you're closer to Donna.
Well, there's way too many stories.
you. What's your age difference, by the way?
3.5 years.
Oh,
Yeah, whenever Donna had a birthday, she was 4 years older than me. Then when I had mine, she was only 3 years old.
okay.
But of course, as growing up, she was pretty much the babysitter that took care of me. Odell would be there, but she would kind of try to protect me.
We have one in our family, his name is Gary.
And so I watched Donna grow up and didn't think much about it. She didn't, you may or may not know, she didn't date in high school at all. Never had a date in high school until she was a senior, and she asked the student body president, his name was Gary Weininger, out to preference. And he accepted, and so she went to the preference ball as a senior, but she never had a date in high school.
Except with Odell, right?
Oh, she and Odell went to dances,
Yeah.
yes. And Golden Ring balls.
Yeah, that's not a real date. But, yeah.
Was she shy? I mean, was she?
No, let me tell you what she felt. We went to a little tiny school called Pioneer Grade School. It is the only operating little rural school still in existence in Oregon. It's a little tiny school just across the Snake River on the Oregon side. And we were farmers, and so when we got to junior high, then we went into Ontario to school and then to high school. And all of us felt like we were kind of country hicks. And we were a little shy and bashful because these were sophisticated kids. And they talked
The big
differently.
city.
From Ontario.
She talks about that in one of her stories, by the way. So, do you have the story that she wrote?
Yeah, I just read
The
that
first
last
50
week.
years? I spent last night till way late in the night reading the story she wrote for the Larson book, and then one that she wrote in 2009 to all of us for Christmas, and then she started to put together in 1987 the first 50 years of her life. And Dan preserved all of that and sent me a copy. I hope you all have a copy. It has the pictures of the 54 Chevy, and the Thunderbird, and the Marlin, and the Mercedes. They're all in here.
Awesome.
Don't you like cars, Debbie?
I don't understand the car thing. I don't know. Just the other day, Dad was like, "Do you remember what car we had in whatever year?" And I was like, "No."
Dan, when did you buy the Thunderbird? Before you were married?
Before we were married, I bought it right after I graduated and got my bars.
He came to Murtaugh once, and was dating Donna. He let Karma and I, who were dating, take it to Twin Falls, and we thought we were really something.
Well, you stopped traffic in that little car because it was so, it's the
So
one
the
with
car
the
was
continental
important.
kid on the back and the
I
portable wheel.
And then when they got married and went to a dance in Twin Falls, we went, Glenn Whittle and I, how many of you know Glenn Whittle?
I know the name.
Glenn is a first cousin. He was the son of Elma, our grandma Larson's older sister.
Elma's son?
Elma's son.
Glenn.
Oh.
And he was a first cousin to Ralph, to Elder Scott, Richard G. Scott. His dad's side, the Whittles, his dad's mother was the father to Richard G. Scott, so they were first cousins also. So, and yeah, Glenn Whittle has called me and talked to me about Donna just a couple days ago. But Glenn Whittle was taking Carmen's sister, her name was Rita, and I took Carmen and went to a dance, and Donna and Dan came to the dance. And while they were there, we went out on a scavenger hunt and got newspapers, and we made blogs and filled their Thunderbird.
You're the guy.
So
Now the stories are coming.
they couldn't even get in. Wow. When Donna was growing up, she had lots of good friends that always went to Pioneer. It was Martin Gallion. We were good friends with the Gallions. Our fathers, Martin Gallion, and Jimmy and Gary and all their kids. And us, we were all best friends. We lived a mile apart. And so Marlene and Donna were good friends. They were the same age. Yeah. And so we spent a lot of time with the Gallions. And she writes about them a little bit in her book. She went not too long ago, 50th anniversary, and visited with Marlene when you guys were But she mentions in one of her stories all the friends that she had with Jeanette Bangeter and Jeanette Cox and Maureen Bangeter, Marlene Gallion. She has a list of them in here. And I remember all those girls. They were big girls because I was 3.5 years younger. They were in high school and I was in junior high and elementary. But Donna had lots of friends. And let me tell you something about Donna. You probably knew from later in her life, but when she was in high school, she always kept herself up really, really well. Every night, she would put her hair in curlers and sleep in it, and then pull it out the next day. We didn't have early morning assembly, fortunately. And then she would put on her makeup, and when she walked out the door, she always looked very nice. And she didn't go out and she would have done well in the South. I went on a mission in the South. And you know, when the ladies in the South go out, when I was on my mission, they wear hats and gloves. They do not walk out of the house.
That was mom.
Like they do.
You can tell those pictures, she always looked like a model.
So Donna had a pair of white shoes. They weren't tennis shoes, they were white leather shoes. She polished them every night, curled her hair every night, and then went to school looking very nice. So I don't know why she didn't have any days. but she always...
She's intimidated.
Yes.
Yeah, she also did that as when we were little girls. We had the little curlers in our hair, and we slept with curlers.
Curls in your hair, so you know about that. Anyway, she was my big sister, and I loved her. And as opposed to her, she was always kind and thoughtful. And she was, as you know, 5 children, 4 boys. She was the rose among the thorns. But we turned out okay. And she was clearly and of course, I remember all the years you guys had in Albuquerque. You kids remember this. You know the story about you moving to Albuquerque? I was looking at the paper one night, and there was a newspaper ad, and Anna Caseman Hospital was looking for a director of nurses. And I called her. She put in her application. And after they hired her, her boss later talked to her about that and said, "How did you find out about this opening? You were in Texas." And she said, "My brother called me." "From what?" She said, "A newspaper ad." He said, "We put that in the newspaper one day."
Wow.
That's in her story.
And you never look at that.
Why would you look at the one?
I was not looking for a job. I had a good job. And I saw that and I said, I would like the Davidsons closer. And so we left when they came to Albuquerque. They moved into the home of the first home they moved into was the home that the previous state president lived in, and he passed away in his mid-30s. I was a counselor and I was younger than him. Everybody thought that they put in our state presidency, they put in a bunch of kids, and all the old people were a little annoyed. But that was Jay Payne's home, and that was the first home you lived in, right?
Yes.
On Dakota.
Dakota. All the kids remember
You kids
Dakota.
remember that house? Well, later, you, at some point in time, you moved to a house that was about
1 year later, because they wanted to raise the rent double.
to a place that was about 300 yards from our house, a quarter mile or so.
We called it the deck house.
The deck house.
Skyline.
But I think, was it Dion that run his tank off the
Yeah.
outside?
That's the one. Yeah, big track.
We
Big
all
track.
remember that
You
terrible.
found out a big track is strong, but not as strong as falling. Well, is Diane here tonight?
She's
You know that Diane was watched by Karma for 3 years.
Yeah.
Well, Donna worked. So we really had a party one night and we loved it. And when they moved to California, Danielle, where did you live? Where did you live?
I lived with you and I loved your family. I loved that at times.
She hadn't graduated high school, so we left her behind.
She left and stayed with us. So I'm glad you had a good experience because you could have probably told some bad stories.
I had a wonderful experience.
well, I was glad you called too because we were about to move into a bar in Texas.
Yeah.
I was like, really? And then Uncle Dave calls. We're like, yes, go to Albuquerque.
Well, we loved the day.
It had a house
We had to
above the
mention
bar.
the house on Crestline because it's an awesome girl.
The what?
The house on Crestline, Debbie
Oh,
was
that's-
friends with
Jennifer.
her. Jennifer.
That's
That's where we
Jennifer.
met.
Jennifer the runner.
They
The other Jennifer.
They invited her to
What, you
I'm
was
sure
the
you can
runner?
run.
Were you just,
This story's pretty
She
incredible.
ran after goalies.
you were just, What did you live in?
Across the street.
Across the street?
Yeah, you have to tell the story. We moved to this house on Crestline, and I think a state president lived in that house as well.
No,
Oh, no?
I think that was the first one we actually bought.
Yeah, we
It's like
bought
the
that
perfect house that they wanted. And then Debbie one Sunday invited Jennifer to come to church. She said, would you like to go to church with us? And now she's a strong member of the church and has 8 kids and
And what's your last name, Jennifer?
Just throwing a couple more.
Huh? What's your last name? I went to the
so
wedding.
Debbie's a missionary.
Jenny's always been a really good missionary.
Yeah.
and what she said to Jennifer is, we're Mormons, wanna go?
Well,
So she went home to her Catholic parents and they said, yeah.
have you guys ever said that?
pretty direct
How
approach.
many people joined the church through your families? There's a lot.
Oh, and she's got missionaries tons of
I
missionaries.
count every one of her kids that goes on mission
That's right.
as
You know, of course,
something I
Well, you really love this, and Donna was a wonderful sister. Very bright, very intelligent. She and I had lots of discussions when I became a manager at Sandy about management. We would sit down and talk for hours about management styles, and what you should require of people, and what you should let go, and how you taught. You know, she had a pretty significant part actually in reforming the nursing program. Because the nursing program had this huge hierarchy, and they hired her to run Anna Casey. And one of the things that she did was fire all the nursing directors and got rid of the structure. And then they made her the nursing director at the new hospital called
Presbyterian was it?
Northside Presbyterian. And
No nurse managers.
then she wrote journal articles. She got her master's in nursing administration when we were in Temple. Didn't she take some classes from Horton?
She did.
Yeah.
Business school in Horton. And she got a degree from Southwest Texas.
Texas State.
And she was doing that while she was a mother of 8.
Released at
Seven.
7.
7.
Diane hadn't come yet.
Oh, Diane didn't come down later.
Diane came when she was administrator of the Presbyterian hospital.
And Relief Society president, helping support the family. Dan was selling cookware
Yeah.
in the store,
Yeah. No, door to door.
door to door. What was the store you worked in Temple?
In Temple, Wilson. That was-
Wilson.
Yeah, I was the,
In
I
any
was
case,
actually manager of Wilson.
her ability to manage and to direct and to stay safe was really good. Because if you think about raising all these Davidsons.
Well, and you know,
It
every
was like
Sunday
herding
we had a
rabbits.
family dinner, and I recall every Sunday inviting at least one friend home and the missionaries would come, and like we always had people coming over, and I only have one memory of asking her to have a friend over for Sunday dinner, and she said, I really just want one dinner with just the family. And I thought that was like the meanest thing I ever heard. And I was really mad at her. And looking back, I think every Sunday she had all of us plus extras. And she just, you know, it was just what happened in our
Like
family.
Donnie now.
One of the things we would do at Christmas time with the Davidsons is all of us would pile into our great big van and we'd drive out to Fort Hills
Remember that?
and
See
look
the
at all the
lights.
lights.
The rich people and the
Yeah, we went out to see how the other people live.
Sometimes we would see like a Mercedes with a bow on it. You remember that?
Yeah.
We really love the Davidsons, and of course, and I knew the Davidsons from Penn. I really didn't know you because you were gone.
I was gone to University of Utah when the family moved there in '64. And everybody heard of it.
And
So when I came out.
some of you may or may not know Lois and boyfriend and girlfriend for a little while.
I didn't know that.
Well, then when they came to Murtaugh and I was dating Carmen, that was a real threat to Carmen. So whenever she got in the car, she sat really, really close because Lois and I was in the back. Anyway.
I didn't know that story either. That's funny.
We just, she's been such an important part of our family's life, all of you have. And And what a treasure. And your mother and our sister was.
Well, what a treasure you were to us during Daryl's summer, God.
She is truly one of the nobles, great. Abraham's just, did you ever see your mother falter from the gospel? Ever, in any way? It didn't ever happen. Her faith was absolute. And if it was a trial somebody else had, she would help them. But her faith never faltered. She was strong.
I was gonna say, every morning while she was putting on makeup and getting ready, she had the book on and she was listening to them. That's one memory I have. And also, I like the memory of her trying to decide if she needed to move to Los Angeles or Denver. And she was reading the scriptures in the bathroom. And she came across the verse about going to the seashore. How the Nephites went to the seashore.
And bountiful.
And that's how she got her answer. She had a strong, strong testimony of the gospel.
Yeah. Well, as you all know, your mother and your grandparents and Carol and Donna really loved her grandparents, our grandparents, Dave and Geneva Moyes and Alice Larson. And you knew that one of her first experiences in the Twin Falls Hospital was sitting all night with a lady who was alone because she was going to die. And her parents, her family couldn't be there, I don't know the reason. So Donna sat and held her hand all night.
She said she didn't
know who she was.
Didn't know who she was, but she says nobody deserves to die alone.
So she told the nurses I'm going to stay with her, and she did. Now, it was her grandmother's sister.
Yeah, she told Grandpa, right?
She
Grandpa
told her dad.
Oh, wow.
And Grandpa said, "What's her name?" And she said, "That's your
Fanny Cunningham.
grandmother's sister." So,
That was Geneva's sister?
no, Alice, Mary Alice's sister, Grandma Larson's sister.
Grandma Larson's sister.
Grandma Larson's sister. So, if you had a tender heart and a strong faith, it came from your mom.
One of the reasons she went in nursing training, she couldn't help her grandmother when she was young. And she decided she was going to go into nursing
When
home.
Grandma Larson got sick and had a kidney, she had a transplant, she had a kidney removed. Grandma Larson was in Burley, and Donna had stopped to see her on the way back to BYU, and then she passed away. Oh, and by the way, when Donna was at BYU, I was at BYU. I was a freshman, and I was homesick. And so whenever I was homesick, I would drive over to their apartment, and there would be Virginia, and I don't know, so was Charlene there? Did she go to BYU?
Yeah.
She was Donna's roommate.
Charlene Reed, and people that I knew, and they were usually out on the street having a water fight.
But Dad's
Yeah, she wrote about that in that she said every time David came over we were doing this, and she's like, he probably thinks that's all we do.
So she was a great comfort to me. I felt as a little kid from Murtaugh, and suddenly I was at BYU amongst 100,000 students, and I don't know how to do that. But I talked to her, and she said, "You'll be just fine. I'm fine. We both came from the same background. You'll be fine." And I turned out fine.
And you both graduated with honors. So there you go.
Yeah, somehow that happened.
I have to tell you a story that just changed the mood for a second. Where's Barrett? My eyes won't let
She
me.
was right here.
Barrett.
So this a few months ago, while we were serving our mission in Palmyra, Barrett said, "Can my aunt and uncle come and visit you for a day or something?" And we
They were
said,
gonna go to
"Sure."
church with us.
And so, anyway, they called us, made arrangements, and they came to our little apartment in Palmyra. Just while I'm telling the story, to how small the church is. So because obviously I didn't know Barrett's family from anyway, and so we had this nice little visit, and they brought with them a couple. And the couple had just received a mission call that I was very envious of. They got called to the London Temple.
Oh,
And, because that was one of the temples we were kind of hoping to get. Anyway, when they said where they were from, I said, I don't know that. I says, I have a cousin that lives somewhere near there. Do you happen to know the name Pat and Andy Hilberta? My first cousin, Pat Hilberta, is my first cousin, and her mother is Grandpa Larson's youngest sister,
Dinah Heiner, she was.
Zina Larson Heiner. And I said, do you happen to, so this other couple that was with Barrett's aunt and uncle, I said, do you happen to know Pat and Andy Hilberta? And he said, well, I'm his first counselor in the bishop.
wow.
I mean, you just talk about small world. And there we were in Palmyra, and you know, it was so cool.
A very recent story. In our ward, we have a doctor named Dr. Jensen, and his parents came down a couple of months ago. And so they introduced him. They said they were from Logan. So I went up after to talk to him for a while, and I said, "You're from Logan? Where did you live?" He said, "Well, we kind of lived on the east side. Yet you go up, like you're going up the canyon, and you turn by a golf course." And I said, "My parents used to live up in that area." He said, "What's your name?" I said, "David Larson." "Are you Lloyd and Effie's son?" I said, "Yes." He said, "I bought Lloyd and Effie's black home."
What?
Oh, wow.
The home that had the pillars in it. He said,
Oh,
We have some pictures of that.
before the one they built that they didn't.
I always wondered where that house was.
And they
'cause I
still own it.
remember them.
He came into town, he was an MD, and he was looking for a place, and he met Grandpa at church, and he looked at the house, and he said, "I want to buy it." And Grandpa said, "I can build it one." And so, the church is small. This is a father, and he was a doctor, of the doctor in my ward in Washington, Utah.
It's amazing.
They made him not so
So now when they come into town, I said, "Yeah, you live in my parents' home."
Wow.
The church is a grand thing.
Yeah, it really is.